Hello there, everyone. Julia Simas here for the Cosmic Intelligence Agency. Sorry, we had a bit of a glitch before where going live didn't work on Facebook. Hopefully it's working now. It's Mercury retrograde, as we know, and we all just love the tricks that he plays on us, don't we? So we're here today because we've got a special event. All about the Sabian symbols. Well, not all about, they're quite a big topic because there's 360 of them. And to introduce or to talk about this topic today is the wonderful Lynda Hill from the mountains of, I was going to say of Australia, of Sydney. Welcome, Lynda. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah. We have Deborah James, Agent 29 of the CIA as well, who has done some amazing stuff with the Sabian symbols that we'll show you in a moment. And Nadia Smirnova, Miro from New York, who is, I call you the resident nuclear physicist of the CIA, who is going to be connecting us to the science behind the magic of using these symbols. So, we're probably together for an hour or so. So let's begin. I'll tell you a little bit about the story of how, we're kind of talking about this today. And that's because Agent 29, Deb, she, during lockdown time over these last 2 years, started painting. And she started painting astrology charts as the Sabian symbols, right? Oh, yeah. Sorry, the green is in this painting is being see-through. So
Nadia's got to get one now.
Deborah has done. So the 360, degree circle with the symbols that are important for your chart, like every planet, the angles, other parts like Black Moon Lilith. Anyway, we're going to get into looking at what's behind these Sabian symbols. And of course, the best person to ask on that is the person that Deb said, of course, inspired her to start painting these astrology charts as Sabian symbols, is Lynda Hill's book that I think so many of us have and use all the time.
The newer one.
Yeah, and Lynda, it's such an honor to kind of be with you. I know I've talked with you many times about the symbols, and when I remember in 2002, I think, when I first got the book and being in a lecture of yours here in a conference in Melbourne, and just kind of learning on the first parts of my chart with the symbols and going, what? Like, oh my gosh, I didn't really know what they meant so much back then, but some of them have really, of course, come alive, for me and what I do. And then seeing Deb's art sort of, she painted me a picture of mine. We're not going to go into personal stories of them, but we are going to look at the CIA chart as an example. Can you just pick up the CIA chart that you've got there, Deb? So Deb's made the Cosmic Intelligence Agency's chart as well. And we're going to talk about that because it's not a personal chart and we can, have a bit of fun, but it's actually so incredibly accurate, as you'll see. So Lynda, just tell us a little bit of the background of this amazing story of the symbols for you. The others, can you just mute yourselves maybe while we just have a quick chat with Lynda? The amazing story of the background. I know that's quite extensive, but tell us a little bit. I can talk
fairly quickly. Do you mean how they came about?
Yes. Some people might know. I know a lot of people do know, but probably some.
No, there was this amazing spiritualist medium called Elsie Wheeler, and somehow or another in San Diego in California, she met Mark Edmund Jones. And Elsie had been for 30 years in the home for the incurable in St. Louis, Missouri, amongst dying people her whole life, 3/4 of her family died before she was 7. She was confined to a wheelchair with rheumatoid arthritis. And somehow or another, I'd love to know how, Mark Edmund Jones, the astrologer, met Elsie Wheeler.
Right.
Yeah. No, I haven't found that. I've found out a lot about Elsie Wheeler, though. I've done a lot of investigation into her life.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he got with her because he wanted to find a symbol, meaning a phrase, meaning words that mean something, to go with each degree of the zodiac. There'd already been a few symbol sets done. So the Sabian symbols are not the only ones, but they are the most popular, I would say. So he got together with her in 1925. They went to Balboa Park. He had in his T model Ford, and he had 360 3-inch by 5-inch white cardboard index cards, they call them. And on the back of each one, he'd written a degree of the zodiac already. He'd written Aries 1 to Pisces 30, 360 of them. So it must have been like this, you know. Anyway, he would continually shuffle them and put them in front of Elsie Wheeler, and then Elsie Wheeler would get this impression or something coming through from the other side, said to be from the Sabian alchemists of 2,000 years ago. That's what Mark Edmund Jones said happened. Anyway, she'd hear or see, not sure exactly, what the symbol was, and then he would write it on a card, discard it, shuffle the cards, put another one in front of her. And I do want to throw in there that Dane Rajah figured that if they'd done an 8-hour day, remembering she was crippled, like severely crippled, in an 8-hour day to do 360, because Mark Edmund Jones said it took one day, that means that they had to do that process where he shuffled the cards, put one in front of her, she saw or heard something, and he wrote it down on the card, and he discarded that every minute and a half for 8 hours.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Quick download.
This is stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is real connection. And at one point, I just do want to point this out. At one point, Elsie stopped and Mark said, "What is the brother doing?" Because Mark Edmund Jones knew immediately it was a brother from the Sabian Brotherhood from ancient Mesopotamia. And, you know, at first I was like, really? Because I was a bit of a skeptic about this stuff. But when you watch it, when you see what it does, you lose all that skepticism. Anyway, Elsie Wheeler said he's standing there with his arms folded. And Mark Edmund Jones said, "Why is that?" And she said, because he said you wrote that, you transcribed it wrongly. Or that wasn't the exact words. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so Mark Edmund Jones said, well, it was testing the brother, said, "Why doesn't he fix it?" And Elsie Wheeler said, "Because he is not in time and space. You are." So Mark Edmund Jones had to fix it. The brother couldn't fix it literally on the thing. And I don't know. So what blew my mind, I just want to throw this in because there's an enormous amount of magic in this. In 1976, before I was studying astrology, my father was an astrologer, but I wasn't at that time. I went to the Middle East and I went within 100 kilometers of Haran, which is right next to Syria. I went through Syria, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Syria, and it came out of Syria and into Turkey, less than 100 kilometers away from Haran, where the Sabian alchemists were.
Yeah, wow.
This is 1976. No, I wasn't studying. I started studying astrology in the early 80s and didn't know about the symbols for a couple of years after that. It just blew my mind because I've actually I've walked from where I was to Haran. Meanwhile, 3 years ago, I went to Haran, which is where Abraham was from. And this is the big story. Abraham was a Sabian. So Abraham, who all three religions claim, was actually what they called a star worshipper. So that's pretty big. I'd like to write a book on that, but I've been saying that for 20 years. I've been saying it. I don't know where to start.
Oh, wow. Amazing story. So, Lynda, the download from Elsie Wheeler was in like the 20s, wasn't it? 26?
25.
1925. So, and I remember you telling me you wrote the modern book because Mark Edmund Jones's book, some of us have got that, but it is in this old style language.
It's very Saturnian. And Rajah's is very Neptune. Yeah, and it's funny because the whole thing has been a Saturn-Neptune thing, including 1925. in 1973, when Raja's book was published, there was the opposition. In when if you it's too much, but it's Saturn Neptune, and Mark Edmund Jones has a really strong Saturn, and Raja has a really strong Neptune, and I've got a really strong Uranus. So I went, I'm going to make it clear. That's what I want to do. Make it clear, just about everyday life, not too flowery. So it's very. Wow. But I love those two books. I love them. Well, there's more than two, but I love their writings and revere them. I think they're fabulous. But the average person, it's like, what the hell does that mean? Oh, they don't make any sense, and they put it aside.
Yeah, so well, let's try and make some sense out of them today. I have been to Balboa Park, Lynda, because of all your writings from years ago and telling me the stories, and I couldn't resist going to San Diego and saying, I've got to go to that park. It was very inspiring, very dry though back then. But now, Nadia, tell us a little bit how you use the symbols, because you were telling me earlier that you find sometimes it's easier to work with a symbol than an interpretation for your chart work, yeah? Oh, hang on, you have to unmute. Oh, sorry.
Here you go.
There we go. Sorry.
Yes, because this is a combination of astrology and extrasensory perception, I find that when you just do astrology, it's a bit dry for a client, and as a technique, it's very involved. You have to analyze a lot, and I'm a genuinely lazy person. Sometimes I want to cut to the chase with clients and myself, and sometimes I find it easier to cut to the chase with extrasensory stuff. When I'm digging into astrology, I find the good stuff, but sometimes I'm in doubt. What if my left brain is not analyzing this right? Let me just go to the right brain. Let me just cut to the chase. And I'm naturally clairvoyant, and I've been using my psychic skills since I finished, since I got my nuclear physics degree. I mean, even before. But anyway, so when I discovered Sabian Symbols at the conference, when I attended Lynda's lecture, and I immediately thought, that's it. This is my cut to the chase technique. Because it's not just psychic technique, it's combining astrology, and it has such a beautiful story behind it. And the way that Lynda presented it and told real stories, she said, I collect these stories where the symbol shows literally what's happening. I was very inspired. I got the book. I got her sign a book. And then 4 years later, I got her other book. So anyway, ever since, it's my go-to book for cutting to the chase.
Yeah, wow. And how about people out there? Do you use the Sabian Symbols? Let's hear some comments and stuff, maybe. And Deb, of course, we know what you've done with them now, but I mean, seeing my chart as a series of images, as a circle of images, it's just like, oh wow, like, oh wow, it kind of looks like a happy life, but it's got a big cross at the top.
Well, how I came to do it was the full moon in Scorpio earlier this year was sitting right on my Neptune, and I had a dream that night where the Sabian symbols formed themselves into a chart and started playing with each other.
Oh,
and that dream didn't leave me. So when I woke up the next morning, I thought, I'm going to look them all up, and then I'm going to draw them all out. And I could see how each one sort of melded into the other. And I thought, wow, I wonder if anyone's done this. So that I just became completely obsessed during lockdown.
Yeah, right. That was your mission. But yeah, the way, I mean, we'll see these images up closer in a sec, but yeah, it's the way that you've kind of combined the stories, even though they're degrees apart, like the bridge flows up the mountain and, connects the mountain, and it's just so cool. You wait till you see them close.
So in my head, sort of moving around, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Very Neptune.
Very Neptunian, yeah. Or you are Pisces rising as well. So what I'm going to do now, girls, is agents. I'm going to share the screen. And what we're going to look at is this. Okay, so let's just view, play. Play in window. Yeah, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Sorry. I know what I'm doing. So let's have a look how these symbols work by, pretty much, what's the word? I can still see you all. Yes. By looking at some charts that, we have, looking at some charts, looking at where the planets are and how the symbols are speaking. This is a chart for pretty much, it's for today. Sorry, it was set in Greenwich, but it's for today. So let's have a little look at Saturn, who has just stationed direct at 7 degrees of Aquarius. So here he is up here. And can you see my pointer? I'm wondering, guys out there? No, okay. Saturn there in the green in Aquarius at 6 degrees 53. We always round up the Sabian symbol to like it's in the 7th degree. So we read 7 degrees of Aquarius. And that's a pretty kind of potent symbol. Lynda, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, it's a child emerging from the eggshell. And so all these issues to do with children. But what I find really astounding about it is the fact that Jupiter and Saturn in the South Node spent quite a lot of time on that last year. The child emerging from the eggshell can be about IVF, adoption, not belonging to your parents, about aliens, reptilians, I don't know, wherever our imagination can go, but a lot to do with children. But what really amazes me is that the karmic condition of that, which I would definitely consider, even on this retrograde, the degree before is the masked figure performing ritualistic acts in a mystery play. And last year and this year, Saturn spent ages and ages on the masked figure, which is Aquarius 6, a masked figure performing ritualistic acts in a mystery play. Now, the ritualistic acts are hand washing, wearing the mask, QR codes, lockdowns, that's all ritualistic.
Yeah.
And if you look at it that way, I do. And then the mystery play is what the F is going on, really. So, like, what is happening? The mystery play, the whole thing about the virus, whether you believe that it's whatever or whatever, it's still a mystery play. Like, did it come from the lab? Did it not come from the lab? Like what's happening and what's going to happen next week. And so, but the child born from the eggshell, Raja says about this, that it's the emergence of global man, which is what we're talking about with this whole World Economic Forum thing that's going on in the New World Order. Whether you believe in it or not, this degree really talks about that. The child born from an eggshell, Raja says it's the emergence of global man, because it's not the child that's necessarily got the normal parents or the normal child. It can be the fabulous child, the child with all sorts of fabulous, talents and everything. It's the child born from an eggshell, not a normal, ordinary child. And all this talk about children with vaccinations, which I'll leave out of the equation, but that's part of this thing. Like, it's unnatural. So anyway, without me getting into how I feel about it, certainly that is part of the thing. But I see these two as a real duality. The masked figure performing ritualistic acts at a mystery play, and the child emerging from the being born from the eggshell. They are two of the major degrees that go with this virus thing. Last year spent ages on that, and here's the big point: Pluto will go over these degrees slowly.
Yeah.
Pluto will go over the masked figure performing ritualistic acts. So, and the child born from an eggshell. And there's a lot of disruption in families. A child born from an eggshell could be the child that feels very lonely because the grandmother's no longer around because she's in lockdown, or you can't visit her because she's in a nursing home or something. So there's a lot of that going on as well. Issues generally to do with children.
Yeah, okay. Wow, interesting. So I mean, like, yeah, you could look at all of them, but I just wanted to sort of pull out that one. Anyone got anything else to say about the Saturn degree or any of these happening right now? Yeah, Nadia?
Yeah, what I observe right now, I always want to sort of apply to myself what's happening in my life in this degree, and the similar things will be happening in lives of other people. So child born from an eggshell, it's also within your life, a birth of something new out of yourself that you didn't expect. Like,
Yeah.
I see here and there people are doing something extremely unusual and some sort of talents coming out of them that they didn't know they had. It's just happening to me. I observe several people around me. Everybody's reporting that they just started doing something exciting that they didn't know they thought that they would ever do.
Yeah, right. Well, for Deb, it's the art coming out,
Well,
isn't it?
that's right, and that shines my sun. So
Oh,
that's what
perfect.
it is.
Yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
did kind of elect the best out, sort of day for this week because we wanted to do it this week. And, when you're kind of picking a day, I mean, often when I launch retreats and stuff, Lynda, I want the ascendant degree or the midheaven, because you can't often pick the sun degree or whatever, but you can kind of turn the wheel a bit to fit a nice symbol, to open the event, right? To open the retreat or something. And so you can not mess around, but, move the midheaven or the ascendant a little bit, because, or the moon, depends on what time, what time frame you've got to play with. So, kind of, you can keep it magical like that, like going, oh, that degree sounds a bit better than that one. Anyway, so let's move on to the next chart.
Oh, can I just say that the child emerging from the eggshell was my progressed son for the last year up until a few months ago. And so when this whole thing started with the mass, my progressed son was on the man performing ritualistic acts, a masked man performing ritualistic acts.
Right.
So that was my progressed son. So you can imagine how I was going, what the?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just for everyone as well, it's very fitting for Neptune. For Saturn, stationing to move direct again after 4.5 months of internalization, and it's sort of almost like we're ready now to sort of move on with this next phase, whatever that means for everyone as well.
Absolutely.
And interestingly, in Australia, it's all about, okay, everyone's vaccinated now. Now that we'll see how the rules work, right? For how this whole operation is going to function now, over the next few months. So anyway, so next one is, I've just added the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that happened in December last year, because it's a very important degree, I think, and I have read it before. And it does make a lot of sense to how things have unfolded in the year, I think. And what, Lynda, can you tell us a little bit about, because, the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction is pretty much a chart, or this chart, it lasts for 20 years or even the next 180 years, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like, this is a big chart, if we're taking it as a kind of beginning of this new world that we're in.
Absolutely.
Lynda, what is 1 degree of Aquarius?
That's the old Adobe mission in California. And the old Adobe mission in California can be where people really, they work hard to build an edifice to provide shelter and comfort and camaraderie and to people, particularly to people who, have that in they have a faith that they want to follow, or they might be disadvantaged or homeless or have no money. It can be soup kitchens. It can be the care of others. The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, was pretty major. I think it was Mercury that was on. Mercury was on the 2nd degree of Capricorn. So that's the 3 stained glass windows in a Gothic cathedral. One is damaged by war, which was actually by bombardment. That was actually in the World Trade Center bombing, that degree. It was Mars. So definitely with Trinity Church right next door, 3 stained glass windows. Anyway, I digress. But it's like the Mercury, I think, is bringing in the element of like, oh, we have difficulties, so we have to find shelter. We have to find a place that we are going, and it doesn't have to be for the whole of the next 20 years. We know that. But the symbol changes. I mean, you know, the way it manifests will change with the changing of the times. But the old Adobe mission in California, it's interesting. I don't know how true this is, but I'm hearing it a lot, that they're wanting to remove religions. They want to have just one. I'm talking about the World Economic Forum and the great Houdinis that are trying to run everything. They're saying that religion is going to go. We're just going to have one faith. And so burning churches in Canada, there's been like, I don't know, 40 or 60 or 80 churches have been burnt to the ground. There's something going on here, you know, and the fact we can't even go to church, and I don't go to church, but that's beside the point. I think we can't, you know, we can't go to church and sing in Australia. There's a lot of restrictions that are coming back. So the old Adobe mission in California, that can be the need for charity, the need for solace, the need for somewhere safe to be, the need for soup kitchens or food packages or any of those sort of things. Of course, it can be the uplifting of spirit. It can be where you go and you gather together with people who feel the same way that you do, that celebrate, who do sing, who do provide for the poor, who do help build these, you know, huge places like in California. And Elsie Wheeler used to live in Mission Hills and surrounded by missions in California where Elsie Wheeler lived. Anyway, it's she came up with the old Adobe mission. So yeah. Anyway, I hope that describes it.
Well, I just remember it was something to do also imposing beliefs on others.
Oh yes, no, it can be absolutely indoctrination. It can be indoctrination, absolutely.
Which is why, you know, I mean, I'm just kind of hearing that message from there. You know, like we're very much segregated from, you know, different sort of beliefs in what's going on as well.
That's
you know?
right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nadia. Yeah, if I may, Julia, there is another even more obvious explanation there, and I really inspired by Lynda when she said some images like really give you an exact story. So California, right? This was in the beginning of pandemic. What happened during these years in California? Let's just look at that with the homeless.
Yes,
that's it. And this was the 0 degree that was setting the trend. This is what's going to be happening. And the image is the Adobe Mission California, which means, you know, issues of homeless.
Yeah. Are there more important things we should
California? In California.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Terrible situation in California. It breaks my heart. I love California. I've been there many times. I love it. I can't see myself going again, though. I don't think we're going to be allowed to get on a plane. So the old Adobe mission in California, the thing about it also is that people trekked across the United States to go to California in the gold rush to do these things, you know, to build these edifices, you know, and they did it out of Adobe. It's an old Adobe mission, right? So they had to make the bricks. So it's that slow build, you know, it's that dedication to the foundation, I think, in amongst it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of getting this, or, you know, reading the symbol, the image that, again, what's more important, you know, to be happening, you know, where we're all got this fear about what's going on out there, but, you know, looking after, we've still got a lot of other problems as well that are completely not being looked at, you know, because of what, you know, don't get me started. So,
but the degree before the old Adobe mission is even more riveting to my mind. And for those who don't know, I see the degree before a degree. Doesn't matter. It's just the degree before a degree is the karmic condition. So the degree before the old Adobe mission is the secret meeting of men responsible for world affairs.
Oh, well, how interesting.
Wow.
Is that?
Yeah. Yes. There's a lot.
The ones that make decisions for us about everything. Yeah.
That's exactly right. And then Pluto's going to go over that, of course.
Sorry,
and you've also got Hollywood with the masks and the children.
Absolutely.
So there's
holy
a lot.
moly, that's potent. And what's the degree after?
Lynda, you're saying that the previous degree kind of sets the stage for the upcoming degree.
Absolutely. And what led me to that, I do want to explain this really quickly, is that I had this conversation with a very well-known astrologer who said, oh, no, you don't round up. And I'm thinking, well, what do you do with Aries 0 in your chart? It's not, or Libra 0. It's not there. You don't have Libra 0 in the chart.
Right.
In the book.
Yeah.
So anyway, I finally convinced her, but she was so attached to the degree before, and it totally fit her, the degree before. And this is a long time ago that I did this. And so I just went, wow, I can understand why you want that degree before more than the one you've actually got. But the one, and so then I looked at it and I went, of course, because they're not separate. It's a series, it's an unfolding, and it's the zodiac doesn't sort of go, oh, this degree and not that degree.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that. You know, like it's an unfolding. And so when you've got a conjunction, just say a conjunction to your sun, say, well, when it gets to the degree before, you don't say, oh, no, that's not transiting my sun. That's the degree before. Of course you do. And that's got to be the story. That's part of the story. So I call that
the story. Yeah.
Yeah, I made it up. Not that I deserve a medal, but I did make it up. It's the karmic condition is the degree before, and the quest degree is the degree after. And I look at the degrees before and after as being very much like the south node and the north node. That's how I came up with it. Yeah. And something I want to say that's got nothing to do with what I just said really, but I came up with this realization that the nodes teach us the zodiac backwards.
Yeah, yeah.
That it does have something to do with what I just said, but it's not exactly aligned with it. But yeah, the nodes teach us the zodiac backwards, and that's had me going way. That was a huge realization. I remember where I was driving when I realized that. I went, oh my god.
There's a few cycles in astrology that go backwards, like the Venus star cycle as well. That kind of it's like we've got to go backwards to go forwards, to understand things, But Lynda, I was going to ask, what is the degree after this degree?
Oh, it's the electrical storm. So is it electrical storm and okay? So here's what's really I find this really amazing. It's the unexpected thunderstorm, which we had here in Sydney yesterday. Really bad.
Many of them.
The unexpected thunderstorm. And I see this degree Aquarius too as very much it can, amongst many other things, show the SS, the Stasi from Germany.
Right.
Now, I know that sounds a bit nuts, but if you look at the glyph for Aquarius, I don't know if you can see that. That's my penguin edition. Yeah. I don't know.
Yes.
Anyway, Aquarius too. It's always struck me that on a side note, not the major thing, it can be like the Stasi. It's like the police, the unexpected thunderstorm. But here's what's really interesting, I think, and Elsie Wheeler did this amazing. The electrical storm is exactly square the unexpected thunderstorm. So if you've got one, every time you get a square to the other, it comes from another storm degree. An electrical storm illuminates the heavens and the forest, Taurus too. And this is really, really an important point, I believe. If you look at the grand crosses, not just the oppositions like Mark Edmund Jones did, which is very valuable, but if you look at the grand crosses of each of the degrees, it'll blow your mind. Right. Blow your mind. Yeah. How did Elsie Wheeler do this? Aquarius 2 is the unexpected thunderstorm. The electrical storm of Taurus 2, the broken bottle of perfume of Scorpio 2, and what's the other one? Leo 2 is the epidemic of mumps, which can talk about pandemics.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
So you've got the electrical storm, the broken bottle of perfume. That's like the shattering, and all the stink comes out, all the beautiful perfume, whichever way it's happening at the time, and then the epidemic of mumps, which can be it can be a lot of chatter, it can be gossip, it can be a pandemic, it can be don't come near me, you're not vaccinated, or don't come near me, you are vaccinated. It's like, all of that. So yeah, I've just been watching this, and earlier on in the year, I think it was February, the full moon was on the epidemic of mumps. Mm-hmm. Mm. So you look at the Sabian symbols for the full moons, of course, and the new moons and the quarter. Look, it doesn't matter what you look at them for.
Look at them for everything.
Everything.
Look at them for everything. Yeah, right. Okay, let's go to the next one. So eclipses are coming up. We can't look at everything, but I just thought we'd pick out a few bits and pieces. So this is the lunar eclipse, will be 28 Taurus Scorpio. So into eclipse season we go. As we know, eclipse seasons really sort of, we think Mercury retrograde seasons really sort of shift dynamic and, you know, resurface things, whereas eclipse seasons can be, you know, 10 times that. So how do we see this 28 degrees?
Oh, can I say something? Sorry, yes. Pushing in. That's my full moon. I was born on that full moon. Exact.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Exact. That's my full moon. But more to the point, because I'm not that important in this story. This is a worldwide story, right? The full moon. That's thank you. That's Joe Biden's son.
Right.
The king of the fairies approaching his domain.
Whoa.
Oh, and there's something else I want to say too about Joe Biden. I'm not taking sides on anything. I'm not liberal. I'm not like, I'm just, don't know what I am nowadays. But anyway, when Joe Biden was inaugurated, his progressed son moved on to the masked figure performing ritualistic. He's the man unmasked at a masquerade. Sorry.
Okay.
There's 2 masked degrees in Aquarius. I find that really fascinating. His progressed son is the a man unmasked at a masquerade. To give you something to think about, especially with the minute he came on, the mask mandates went right up and everything, you know, like, and you have to get the vaccine, came in right then. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
And the degree before that is the military band marches noisily through the city streets.
That's exactly right. And the degree after is about pleading for the lives of your children.
Wow.
Yes, I know.
My son degree.
Sounds full on. Someone's asking, what is the degree that you were talking about earlier of the masked figure? What?
That's Aquarius 6. Aquarius 5 plus Aquarius 6.
The one before Saturn stationing. Yeah,
that's exactly right. No, I would definitely put that on there because it's stationed on that degree last year on the masked figure.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's got history there. You know.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Aquarius 6.
Wow, it tells so much. Okay, so next eclipse, this is now solar eclipse at 13 degrees of Sagittarius.
Oh my God. I haven't looked into this. I've been gardening. That's oh my God. That's oh my God. It's the widow's past is brought to light. Secret being revealed. Things that have been kept under the covers. Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. Okay, things being so, you know, and what's Sagittarius, of course, about truth and knowledge and wisdom. So tell us more about that, Lynda.
I don't want to take up everybody else's time, but the widow's past is brought to light. This can be a thing where there's been loss, and we're suddenly realizing some of the stories around the loss. It can be where there can be about inheritances or not. There might be no inheritance, but there's always an inheritance, right? You know, even if you just inherit the bad story. There's definitely light shone on corners. And, as you know, I remember these off by heart, but of course now I'm not. The one before it is the flag turns into an eagle. And that's got a lot to do with flags, obviously, with countries, with feeling like an allegiance to what's going on in your life. And and the degree following is Sagittarius 14. It's the pyramids and the Sphinx, which has got a lot to do with. So all this plays in. The pyramids and the Sphinx is not only about Egypt. Yes, it is about Egypt. It's not only about pyramids and the Sphinx. It's about the building of large companies, of edifices, all those people working hard to build those corporations, those businesses, and all the sacrifices that many people make. And the next degree on, I think, is the groundhog looking for its shadow. So many of us will be going on doing the same thing over and over. And who do I do it for? I think that the widow's past is brought to light can bring about sacrifices. They can come to light, sacrifices, loss, memories of the past, obviously, things that we didn't know coming to light, all that. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, my God.
It can be good, obviously.
Yeah. I'm going to be looking closer at Venus and Pluto, Venus going retrograde conjunct Pluto which will be in the 26th degree. What's the 26th degree again, Lynda?
Where are we?
Capricorn.
Oh, Capricorn. Yeah. No, that's the nature spirit dancing in the midst of the waterfall. That basically is talking about don't jump into the middle of things and freeze to death. It's things can be better than we imagine. Meaning that we don't have to throw ourselves in the deep end. We can dance lightly on the edges in order to get the beauty. I mean, that's my North Node, and I sit here in Katoomba and watch the mist roll in. It just rolls in the backyard. It comes over and just envelops me because I'm right on the escarpment. So I'll sit here in a cloud. So it can be sitting in a cloud. It can be not seeing clearly. It can be the very quiet of a mist. It can be about getting back to dancing. It can be, have you forgotten how to dance?
So it's about sort of, what's happened in the last year and a half or 2 years is kind of the Venus retrograde, conjunct Pluto is like letting go, shedding things and getting back to living and life. Yeah.
Absolutely. Most definitely. This is, it's going to be an interesting thing for us to see how that progresses. But we've had some really gnarly, this last week has had some of the gnarliest stories in the Sabian Symbols. So no wonder so many of us are just going, The two men placed under arrest and the gang of robbers in hiding have been highlighted. That's Libra 18 and Libra 19. We've not only had the sun, we've had Mercury on it recently and will be again when it goes direct. And we've got Mars on it right now, the gang of robbers in hiding. So Mars on the gang of robbers, I just want to say this because I think it's super important, especially from right now. Mars on the gang of robbers in hiding, we have to really, really be careful about how we see others. We might think that they're going to rob from us or they're going to say something on TikTok. It's going to upset us. Oh, big deal. Like the gang of robbers in hiding can be, the worst thing's going to happen. It's just going to be terrible. And it really can be where terrible things are happening and we don't see them. So it can be any of those things.
Right.
But and the two men placed under arrest. We've got the IBAC hearings here in Victoria. We've got ICAC in Sydney.
There's a lot more to come. And I think,
that's right.
What will be kind of uncovered and shifted during the eclipses will be followed up by Venus. The Venus retrograde in Capricorn, which is very much about the corporate system and the values that are imposed on us and how we stand up for ourselves against that. So it's a big story unfolding here.
It's a very big story. I want to say something about that lunar eclipse, which I should have said, is that the moon, I left it out. The moon in that chart is on a woman past the age of life experiencing a new love.
This is the Taurus eclipse.
Yeah, Taurus eclipse. Yep. And so that's 28 Taurus. That's my moon. And so it's like the woman past the age of life experiencing new love, and that can be where we go, you've got a new person in your life. Of course it can be that, but it can be this revival of hope and love and beauty and all these sort of things. So we need to keep an eye on that, because when it's an eclipse, especially with all that's going on, it can be that we're wondering where our new life is. We might be wondering where hope is, where renewal is. I'm 68. I go, 2 years off 70.
So we've got to get that spirit back somehow.
That's right. And so that's what it can be about. The eclipse last year in December was on the bluebird at the gate of the cottage. A bluebird, the sign of good luck and abundance, is on the gate of the cottage. And so what happened, of course, is, good luck. Because the eclipse was on that degree. We haven't had a great year, right?
No.
I've literally got a picket fence out the front here, and I do have beautiful birds that visit my garden, but I'm not going anywhere else. I'm not doing anything else. It's sort of
We've
like
all become loners.
Prison.
We've all become loners. We've got no friends left.
That's true for me and true for many.
Oh, dear. Okay, last one. I just want to, 19 degrees of Capricorn is where the Venus star point is, so it culminates her retrograde and starts a new cycle. And I'm just fascinated about what 19 Capricorn might be, or Deb and Nadia as well chime in there as well as a message for maybe what the greater meaning of Venus retrograde is all about coming up.
And let's have Nadia.
Yeah, Nadia, what if what comes up for you for 19 degrees of Capricorn?
Well, reading from Lynda's book, I'm not like Lynda, I can't memorize them all.
Yeah.
But a child of about 5 carrying a huge shopping bag filled with groceries.
No, it's the next one on, hun. She's already rounded it up.
Yeah, I've already done it. I've already made it 19. So it's 1843.
1843, which is Capricorn 19, right?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you'd already rounded it up, Julia.
I had. Well, I said 19.
Yeah, this is 18 degrees.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was completely mixed up.
All right, so it's...
so a child about 5 carrying a huge shopping bag filled with groceries.
Wow.
Right.
That's
so,
interesting.
Yeah, so basically, let's look at the context, right? Are we talking about politics or are we talking about personal lives?
Whichever. I mean, both come into it. It sounds like it's all about responsibilities, lifting the heavy weight, doing the work, taking on things above and beyond.
Yeah, taking a load that, over beyond your age. So you could be young, but you're working very hard and doing something. You could be doing something for your family because groceries, food, and because these messages could be very literal, I'm just thinking when we get there, and that's going to be in January, we should look for something that has to do with shopping and groceries. Maybe we're going to be stocking up on things.
Yeah.
Maybe again we're going to have
the only thing we're allowed to do lately, isn't it? Is go to the supermarket.
Maybe we're going to be trying to buy stuff, prepare for the war. I don't know. Like during the pandemic, we had the empty shelves, right? Toilet paper.
It's interesting that the degree before that is the Union Jack flies from a new British warship.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
So it's like, what are we preparing for, and what burden are we going to carry?
So that was That was Pluto when Donald Trump was elected. I have to throw that in. That was the degree of Pluto when Donald Trump was elected. And of course they had him in, like whether you like Donald or don't like Donald, I don't care. It's not important. But, they had him, in diapers, with a pacifier, with a dummy in his mouth, saying he was inexperienced. Well, anybody would have had a trouble, regardless of who they were, with Pluto on the child of about 5 carrying a heavy load of groceries. Anybody would have had trouble being president with that.
Yeah, interesting. When I did a prediction using Sabian Symbols, when Donald Trump was 2 weeks out from the election, and my friends were asking me, and again, I am not a political astrologer, but they were really asking me, so I decided, let me just be lazy and cut to the chase. I'm going to use Sabian Symbols like Lynda and do political prediction with this. The image was, and I asked, okay, who's going to win the election? Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump? And the image was that a girl sitting with a dove and a servant standing next to it.
Oh, yeah, Pisces.
You know that symbol. Yes, so my interpretation was that, the servant standing next to her, meaning it's a wealthy person who has a servant. The dove, not the dove, the lamb married.
Yes, the lamb. Yeah.
The lamb means something childish and naive, which that's what Donald Trump appears to be. He appears to be naive. He's not, but he appears to be, and he's wealthy if we pick in between those two.
Here's what's interesting also, it's a Chinese servant in that degree. It's Pisces 21. The Chinese servant. And that degree is square Donald Trump's moon, which is the Chinese laundry.
Interesting.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Right. So based on that image, I just thought it's Donald Trump. Looks like Donald Trump image.
Yeah.
So that's what it was.
Right.
It was pretty amazing.
That's an interesting thing.
Trying to do political prediction with the Sabian symbols. And
Yeah,
if
well,
you're saying that Pluto was on this degree with child of about 5 carrying huge stroke bag when Trump was coming on, then
and Pluto was on the Union Jack degree, the degree before, when they took the Brexit vote in England, and all over social media there were pictures of the Union Jack everywhere.
Yeah, wow,
Everywhere.
yeah.
People who weren't even interested in Europe or interested in, the UK, they were posting Union Jack. They were talking about it. The word Union Jack was everywhere. I was just going, oh my God. People who never talk about the UK were talking about the UK with Brexit, and Pluto was on the Union Jack degree.
Right.
Interesting.
Bizarre.
Bizarre. Oh yes, it is bizarre. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. We'll keep following them, all those degrees. Like
what's happening.
Yeah. It's a good idea, Nadia, to look at those symbols when you again.
Oh my God. I have stories. I have stories where I get the image on the reading and I cannot interpret it. I just don't know because there's nothing that I know that I could associate with that image if I'm asking about the future. But then I'm thinking, okay, like I have to remember the image. So when we get there into that future moment, I could see what actually happens because this image shows what actually happens. And sure enough, when we get there, the story of the image just happens right before my eyes. Always takes my breath. Always.
Yeah. I could just imagine a constant sort of stream of Sabian symbol connections that you used to do, Lynda, like pretty much when you were on social media. This is happening today and look what's happening. And when you come back to it, I'm sure, anyway, if you do.
I have all that going on in my head continually. Yeah. I don't know why I feel to share this with you, but I do feel to share this with you. When I was in Turkey in 2018, I was there for 3 months. I was in Istanbul. I love it there. Anyway, I went out to Haran and Göbekli Tepe. I'm going like this as if it's there. And it's right over near the Syrian border, right? I was like 28 kilometers from the Syrian border and it was 54 degrees Celsius. Anyway, that's just part of it. So the day before I got on the plane to fly out to that area, Sanliurfa, the day before, my progressed sun moved the degree. And as we know, the progressed sun lasts for a year on a symbol. Fabulous, the progressed suns. But progressed anything on the Sabian symbols. And it was the Council of Ancestors have been called to guide a man. A council of ancestors. And so I'm going over to Haran, where the Sabian alchemists were 2,000 years ago, which are said to be the voice that came through Elsie Wheeler. And that's also the whole city of Urfa, Urfa, it is like a monument to Abraham.
Right.
The ancestor, right? He was a Sabian. He was a star worshipper. That's what they called them. Fantastic. Because that's what the Sabians did. They were astrologers and astronomers, obviously.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
there's so many stories to connect. So I'm sure everyone's getting enthused to look more at your Sabian symbols and your chart and follow them like daily or by progressions. I haven't looked at my progressed sun. I'm going to have to do that after this.
Always do the progressions. Always do the progressions.
Yeah, or in that sense. So let's move on a little bit. So these are Deb's, they're a little bit smaller, but her a selection of her fabulous chart art of the Sabian symbols. And you can see how, there's connections of, from one. And there's Lynda's got hers as well. The wonderful way as you were saying, Deb, it's like connecting all the stories together into one whole, which when you see it in the image, you just go, wow, that's my chart. Love it.
It's quite interesting the way it happens because I look at the chart and then I write down all the symbols. Yeah. And then I sort of sit with it and do a really interesting meditation and see how the visual comes to me in how they work together. Like if, for instance, this one here, the way the ice skaters are also like melding with the desert camel.
How interesting.
Work, right?
Yeah.
Wow. No, it's really cool.
And it takes me, it would take me about 3 days to do each one.
Yeah.
Because of the layers of build up and whatever. But I really find it interesting. If I've got 3 on the go at once, then I'm learning all the different symbols, and I'm seeing, and the ones I've done so far have been family and astrology friends, obviously, and noticing how many times I'm drawing the same symbol again and again and again, because we all have the same degrees.
Right.
Why we know each other, love each other. And I find it really fascinating. Like it's
because you've done a few of us agents, and it's like, oh, there's that degree again. There's that degree again. Like, we're connected.
I want to throw something in here about Deb. I think that's fabulous what you're doing, Deb. And something that you said earlier, I really wanted to say, without butting in, that Libra 9 is the 3 old masters hanging in a special room in an art gallery. Libra 9, 3 old masters hanging in a special room in an art gallery. Now, that is the degree of Mark Edmund Jones's son. And the extended one that he gave that, when he made the mimeograph, when he did the mimeographed symbols in the early 30s, he made them much longer. So it's like, it goes on to say, when there's no one in the room, they seem to speak to each other. And you were saying that more or less. You were saying how they speak to each other through you, like it's like that thing. And so that's my MC degree. 3 old masters hanging in a special room in an art gallery is my MC.
And the CIA's MC as well.
Who's one?
Let's have a look at the next chart.
CIA.
The CIA. No wonder I wanted to say it. I really wanted to say
Well, we're going to look at
like
the
Harry
next
Potter to me. It's like the paintings are talking to each other. It's very Harry Potter-esque.
Yeah. So this is the chart. This is the CIA's chart. And I couldn't stop laughing when I first saw it and stuff. So we'll go through them. I've got a list of the Sabian symbols, but the ascendant is the woman entering a convent. So you only got to be serious to be a CIA agent. We've got a tea leaf reader. We have a businessman at his desk. We have a seer, crystal ball, and then we have lots of fun. Look at this.
I know. I like that. And you're flying all around the world.
We're flying everywhere. We're having retreats and parties on the beach. And then we're also got this kind of magic Harry Potter thing going on at the top of the screen where the paintings are talking to each other and all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty cool. If we look at the next, hang on, it keeps going away.
And the children on the swing.
Can I mention something?
Yes.
Comment. Okay, great. So since I'm have a lot of Pisces and also deal with a lot of artists for my business, that image came up a lot for my readings for my own business. So I kind of connect
Which
with that.
Which one?
The 3 masters hanging in a gallery.
Oh, up here. Okay.
Yeah. Here for CIA, we do have it on midheaven. Midheaven has to do with public exposure, right? And not only that, you basically presenting paintings right now, you're doing that, these masters, but also the entire 15 years that you're running this agency, you presenting agents. And each agent is a master of their own.
It's a masterpiece.
Yes, and
a cameo, like a cameo.
Yeah, when you do this Zoom transmissions and live broadcasts.
Well, we do all look like agents.
Yes, they hang in, 3 or 4, whatever. Screen, cool. And they talking to each other.
Yeah. That's exactly what we're doing now, isn't it?
And that's in the midheaven. That's your basically mission to the public.
Yeah. I actually do have a fireplace in my room here in my office which is interesting.
The blazing fireplace, yeah.
It's not on now, but that's our Venus, and Venus at 8 degrees of Libra. So it's conjunct the midheaven, and so many agents have got things at 8 degrees of Libra. It's quite amazing. So it's about bringing together, something that sort of warms us all, really, isn't it? What we love, astrology.
That's right.
We can just sit around the fire and talk about it forever. So it's beautiful, actually.
Well, I just want to, just for those listening, I just want to say that the karmic condition of that 3 old masters sitting in a special room in an art gallery, the degree before that being the blazing fireplace in a deserted home. In my story, my father deserted me very early on. I've lived a life where I've been quite solitary my whole life, and I've always had the blazing fireplace. It's about the fact that one has to really feel that one is sufficient in oneself, that you've got the blazing fireplace, that you can provide the warmth or the heat or the love for others that sometimes you don't find comes back to you until you're able to really stack that fire, and then your rewards come. But yeah, no, it's really
okay. Interesting. I mean, there's many levels to it, isn't there?
Always. Always.
Yeah, but I mean, again,
the CIA wasn't very accepted initially either. We had to blaze our own fire, really, to be accepted in the astrological society, especially down here in Melbourne.
Well,
you have to stoke the fire, stoking it. Stoke the fire.
Well, that's right. It's like doing again. We'll go on, regardless. What's our moon? What's our Aries moon? Is an empty hammock lies behind two lovely, or between 2 lovely trees. So it's like, there's so many things I've learned not to worry about. It's like, am I having fun? Are we having fun?
Absolutely. By the way,
is this about stress? No, it's not about stress. It's about, the love of what we do and astrology, all that stuff. Yeah. Sorry, Nadia.
Yeah, the sun degree of the CIA sort of speaks to this portrait image of MC. So
as well, I know it's so connected. Yeah.
Of Virgo, and it starts as like in the portrait, the best of a man's traits in the character are idealized.
There you go.
The sun represents the spirit of the chart, the spirit, right? So the midheaven is a public mission, sort of what you represent, but sun is your core mission, what your mission is all about. And the mission of the CIA, from this perspective and combining with that midheaven, is you presenting agents, and sometimes one at a time, for, like, say, webinars, like my webinar is coming up on Sunday, right? And that's a portrait of each individual one, where the best of men's traits and characters are idealized. So definitely this is how I feel about my portrait that's coming up on Sunday. I'm going to be given the best of what I've got in terms of explaining how you can explain this whole magic of this Sabian symbols, how they speak to you, how they work with your chart, or oracle of them. I'm going to be explaining it from scientific perspective. Yeah. And nobody has explained Sabian symbols before from scientific perspective. Nobody even think that this could be explained in science.
Tell us a little bit what is a bit of that explanation, like a tiny bit, entice people to
tiny bit. I'm going to give you like a teaser words. So the words that, or the scientific terms that I'm going to be using are quantum entanglement.
Yep.
It's one of the big ones. In short words, it's a concept. It's not a concept. It's a discovery that was made many moons ago by scientists, where 2 particles, no matter how far they are apart, they could be on different ends of the universe, but if they are of the same nature, then they will be communicating between themselves instantly. You affect one, the other one gets affected instantly. So that's a quantum entanglement. It defies speed of light. Speed of light is the universal speed limit. Like, scientists decided that we're going to be a DMV of the universe. We're going to assign a speed limit and nothing can travel faster than speed of light. Therefore, we're going to measure distance to the stars in light years. We're going to say that the distance to that star is going to be 300 light years. To our mind, this is insane. We're never going to get to visit that star because we're not going to survive the flight if we're going to travel in a straight line with that speed limit. But there is a different concept that is a completely in contradiction with this, and that's a quantum entanglement. And scientists know about this contradiction. They basically steered us away. Don't look over here. Forget about that. Look over here. But now scientists do experiment with quantum entanglement in a scientific terms. They're trying to improve instant communications between the satellites and Earth using that particular concept. That's a whole different concept. So quantum entanglement means to us that we all connected instantly, no matter how we are, how far we are apart. We could have entities, aliens somewhere on a distant star, and they're going to be instantly communicating to us using this particular physics phenomenon. So that's one of the things. Another one is another concept, another mental construct that is beautiful and it works. It's a holographic universe.
Yes.
I like to call it holographic astrology because I feel that astrological chart is a hologram that presents us, but it also presents the entire universe, the world around us. Look at this chart. Like if this is a chart of a person, it's going to speak about what this person is all about, but it's also going to speak about how the world is around this person. The entire world is around this person, how the person interacts with the world. And each degree, which is an image in the Sabian Symbols, opens up a new basically picture from this hologram. You turn it and you start seeing 3D images. It's beautiful.
And how everything connects, not so traditionally either, like what we're used to with aspects, and if something's trining or squaring, when you look through a hologram, you're seeing all kinds of connected.
Exactly. And the hologram is flat, a little something, right? But if you put light through it, that's when it becomes three-dimensional.
Yeah.
So when we look at this flat chart, and that's light coming through these symbols, through our eyes, we look at it, and these 3D images come into our mind. This is how the Sabian symbols were invented, right? You look at these symbols, and the 3D image comes into your head, so you can write down what you see. And another concept that I'm going to be introducing, it's not in my books yet, not in my framework of physics of astrology just yet, but it'll be added. It's a torsion fields. Torsion fields were invented by Russians in the 80s. Not invented, I would say discovered, described, and patented. And they invented a lot of things based on the torsion fields. Torsion fields is something that traditional physics did not see until that time, the 80s. So Russians found it and gave it a name, torsion fields. And torsion fields is basically something that, like I said previously, was unaccounted by physics. It's very subtle forces that I would say create magic. That's all I have to say for now. I'll explain on Sunday.
You have to come to the webinar. All right, we've got details of that in a minute.
Exactly, yeah.
Thanks, Nadia. We look forward to that. So, Lynda, I just wanted to ask you before we sort of finish up, is the woman entering a convent, 24 Capricorn, or 23, in 23, in the 24th degree. It was also the place there's Saturn and Pluto and Ceres and all those planets connected, wasn't it, last year? Or or was that the one before? No, that was the one before. Sorry. Oh no.
No. It was the soldier winning 2 awards for bravery in combat, but really the essence of Saturn Pluto in Capricorn is the woman entering the convent. Okay. That's the essence of what we're experiencing, even more than the winning two awards, which is a bit nebulous, I think. I could explain it, but you know, I can see how it's working. But the woman entering the convent is absolutely spot on. And there was so much activity over that degree that went on for months and months.
Yeah.
So
yes.
I would definitely give it that. So what were you going to say?
Well, I mean, it's quite funny that it's the ascendant of us, which is, like I said before, you know, you've got to be very dedicated to join the CIA. It's not an easy job.
It's my ascendant. My ascendant is the general revealing nobility of character, but it's just 2 degrees further on. And that's where I think some people, I'll come back to that in a second, but I just want to say, like, if you've got a degree on the ascendant, it is completely folly to think that that's just the degree on the ascendant in terms of you've got another degree and then you've got another degree. Yeah. And as something is going into your first house, it's highlighting all those degrees. So many people just go, oh, well, I've just got that on my ascendant and that's the end of the story of my first house. No. And in fact, the degrees above the ascendant are highly, highly magnified, as we know through Gauquelin's research. You know, it's a major part of the chart, the degrees before the ascendant. Yeah, so even the degrees before the ascendant, you'll see that they are really super part of the story. I think what we do, and I don't know, this has probably got something to do with the woman entering the convent. I think that what we do as astrologers in general, not a lot of people don't do this, but they tend to focus on this one thing and then this one thing and then this one thing. And you know what? The thing to do is look at the degrees before and after each of your points. Anything in your chart, doesn't matter what it is. It can be your progress wazoo. I don't care. It'll tell you something. Okay. Yeah. And then what you can do is you can look at the degree of your sun and look at the degree that's opposite it, or your moon or your Venus or your Mars. It doesn't matter what you're looking at. Look at the degree that's opposite, because that's going to tell you the story of your sun, your moon, your Mars, your whatever. Look at the square to that, because every time there's a square to that planet, that's the issue. You know, so the symbols give us an ability to see things very much more quantumly. You know, as Nadia was saying, it's part of that hologram thing. I just want to go also to the fact that I don't really believe in past lives. I have so many people, and it's great that other people do. It's got nothing to do with me. If they think that, it's great. But I don't think we had past lives. I think we're a quantum thing. And who knows, you know, like we all think we might, I don't mean this really, but, you know, we might have been Cleopatra in a past life. And it's like 6 million other people thought they were Cleopatra in a past life. So it's just like we live in this hologram. I agree completely with Nadia. And I think that we're living a movie script. And who knows what the next one is or the one before. It's just, it's impossible.
Like, there's no past lives happening all together. There's no past.
Could be that. Could be that.
All happening.
Yeah, I just don't subscribe to the I died. You know, I was a warrior in the Second World War. And I died 2 years before I was born. It's sort of like, yeah, it sounds good. But you know what? If that's the story someone has, touche, good one. Nothing wrong with the story.
You have to know your own story, or you have to live and connect to your own story, and everyone's will be different. There's no rule book, is there? Like, you know, we're told that.
So this comes back to the woman entering the convent. Oh. Because the woman entering the convent is very much about our own story, because we're thrown back onto ourselves with God or without God. You know, we might be worshipping, you know, dolphins. It doesn't matter.
It's about your spiritual nature, you know, and what you do this for, yeah?
And the thing is that we also, you know, like the woman entering the convent, it's about housework. It's about kneeling on your knees. It can be about bringing you to your knees. It can be a test of faith. It can be, you know, what is this life all about? You know, like, am I going to completely isolate for the rest of my freaking days? You know, a woman entering the convent. It can be, don't come near me. I need my own space. It can be, I wish people would come near me because I've had enough of my own space now. You know, it's all these things.
Just in disguise.
Exactly. And that's why Bunnings is so full of people, is because people are going there to buy their paint and their floor polishing things and their, you know, like whatever it happens to be, because the woman entering the convent, she's going to be working on her space. She's, you know, like, I'm sure we think about the woman entering the convent sitting there reading the Bible. They do much more than that, we know. They do a lot of community work. Well, of course, we're not doing that much. Well, we're doing what we can. But the thing is,
symbol of taking something on and being dedicated. That's how
Absolutely.
I see it. And working towards your own spiritual sort of, you know, evolution or
Absolutely.
kind of connecting to that. So again, the reasons why we do astrology, you know, to know ourselves better, to know what we're here for, purpose behind this life, what is it all about, you know, meanings like that. Anyway,
it's interesting. If you look at the opposition to that, sorry to cut across you, but if you look
that's
at
all right. Yeah, it's the descendant.
The opposition is that 2 women and a man cast away on the island in the South Seas, which, by the way, is Donald Trump's Venus degree.
Well, we're not going there with him.
No. It's just weird because the affairs and stuff like that. I don't care about Donald Trump. But the 2 women and the man cast away. That can be like being the third wheel. Like, of course, not everybody's third wheel. Sometimes you're the first wheel, but a lot of the times you're the third wheel with that degree. And so that's very interesting when it's in relation to the woman entering the convent. It can be, I'm going into the convent because relationships didn't work for me. Sorry. You know what I mean? It can be that. It doesn't have to be.
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, part of the reason that I started the CIA is because what I saw out there as, you know, the organizations and stuff, they weren't for me. They were just like, I wanted to do my own stuff and connect to the people that I connected to. Because the others were very either controlled or, you know, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just like, you know, why can't there be something, you know, it's
okay. So the karmic condition of the descendant of the CIA is the meeting of the study group or the literary society. The meeting of the study group.
Yeah, that's how it started. It started with a group here that wanted to study, you know, extra beyond our sort of regular classes. So we started a thing, you know, and it started from there. So and Deb said before that I actually met her at the convent where our teacher Brian Clark used to hold a lot of his events, and
wonderful
so we
event.
met at one of those at the Abbotsford Convent here in Melbourne. So that's really interesting too. Anyway, there's lots more to talk about here, but look, get your own charts, you know, together and have a good look and take all the advice from all these wonderful agents. Look before and after. I'm going to look at all the squares and stuff as well.
Amazing.
Especially to your sun and stuff. And Deb, tell us a little bit so people can connect to Deb if you want one of these painted for you. Of course. I've got your details coming up here. Hang on. First of all, hang on. So I've got all the details of connecting with Lynda and her Sabian Symbols. Lynda, you've got a fabulous new website. And you've got an oracle on there that every time I go there, I just go, okay, what's it going to say? And it's always so spot on. So do go and visit Lynda's site. Of course, Lynda, you do readings for, you know, chart readings, transit readings, all kinds of stuff with the Sabian Symbols. So connect with Lynda there. With Deb's art, you can go to our page here. I'll put them all in the in the links under this video as well, for looking at the art. Tell us a bit about how to order a painting. I mean, they're not going to be, they're not cheap because they take a long time to do. So tell us a bit, Deb.
Well, each one's individual, obviously, and you can choose if you want extra symbols put in, like some people like Lilith, some people like Ceres, that sort of thing. So I can put Eris, I could put those in as well. So it's just individual. So email me, give me your details, and we'll work out a time where I can. Like, I've got a few backed up at the moment, but I'm sure I can fit you all in. Given that we're still in lockdown, we're going to be in lockdown for a long time.
I told Deb, I said, gosh, are you ready for this? Because you're going to get so many orders. So anyway, contact Deborah there. And someone's asking on the chat, can anyone recommend the best books for the Sabian Symbols? Well, of course, it's Lynda Hill's The Sabian Symbols. And what's the most recent
version? Newer version.
So, and that's available from your website, of course, as well, Lynda? Yes, okay. And then connecting to Nadia and some fabulous articles and, of course, her take on all these magical science, go to physicsofastrology.com. And I'm just going to remind you that Nadia has the way it came about with Deb's art and booking in the agents to do webinars. You know, Nadia came up with, well, you gave me a list of a few things, and I picked this one because I thought it was a good combination. And we've never really done anything like that before. So the Science and Magic of Sabian Symbols, you can book that in from our website as well. So come and join us. It's Sunday night USA and Monday morning in Australia. And, of course, the CIA Academy is where you can join that webinar of Nadia's as part of your membership, and many more to come, like 20 plus a year, plus 70 in our archives. You know, so all the recordings are there for you to catch up on. You can, you know, you get discounts to our events, mentoring, consultations, software. There's some really great stuff like 20% off Astro Gold software, 20% off Solar Fire in New Zealand and Australia. So there's a whole lot of things that are really well worthwhile with your membership, and it's 20% off now just for another 5 days of Mercury retrograde. So I really thank everyone that has actually subscribed in these past few weeks, because it does really help us keep things going and activated. And we hope that, yeah, more of you do join us, because again, we're kind of building our community. Lynda, I just want, the thing that you said when we were kind of, before we started going live, your prediction about social media and going off, you know, off the tracks and not being as it was, because again, we're building our community so we can move more towards our own website, which we've redone now, and it's all kind of solid and good to go further with. Because people are just fed up with social media, and you had something to say about that, didn't you?
Excuse me. Well, the USA, and it's not all about the USA, but
yeah,
the USA's Pluto is 28 Capricorn, rounding it up in the Sabian Symbol, and it's the large aviary. And of course, that's Twitter. That's the way, when I first looked at it being their Pluto, I went, and so many people are talking about the Pluto return. So when Pluto goes onto the large aviary, my take, and I've said this for ages, is that social media is just going to go down or lose a lot of its gloss. Or I actually think it's going to disappear. But
it's
that's
already
very
happening.
Story,
I mean, it's already happening, and all the censorship and, you know, all these things have been alerted to us that, you know, it's not the free speech and free world. And so again, the channels there will be changing. Yeah, for sure.
Because we've had Saturn going over that degree, and Jupiter. And the South Node.
So it's going to get regulated of sort, Pluto rules.
More regulated, I think. And I think some of the laws might bring them undone. There's antitrust laws. There's all sorts of things that they're doing.
Yeah.
So, no, I really feel that. And it was funny because I think I mentioned to you when we talked about it earlier, you know, that I had this real impulse to tell a friend. I said, I've got to tell you this because I don't have a voice at the moment, because I'm really not doing anything terribly much at the moment. I'm coming back, but it's taken me some time. Pluto all over me like a rash. So I said to this woman, I've got to say it to you. I really, really feel that when Pluto goes over Capricorn 28, that the social media is going to go down. And within 24 hours, social media went down. But, of course, that wasn't what I'm talking about. You know, but it was funny that I had such an urge to say something. And I find that, you know, that's part of this quantum thing that Nadia talks about. You know, we get these impulses that come from somewhere in amongst the hologram, and we don't even know why. Like, I didn't know why. I felt it was so important to say to this woman that she's the only person who heard it, you know, and the next day it happened. It's like, but it's
well, you have got a very psychic nature, like many of us entering the convent. Yeah, we learn to adapt to, you know, the messages coming in, and of course the Sabian symbols were all about messages coming in. So it's been sort of a lovely connection to all of that. So thank you guys, thank you agents, thanks for your time.
It was great fun and lovely to meet Deb more and Nadia more.
Lynda, thank you for the book.
Oh, you're welcome.
Every day, I think of you every time I pick it up. Imagine how much I think of you for the past 20 years since I have this book.
Every day.
Send you the PDF.
You signed it for me in 20.
That's why you're so exhausted, Lynda. People too much, you need a protective helmet or something.
I'm a bit like that, I must say. It's really funny because you feel, oh, lovely, Deb.
Yeah, I've got mine signed as well from years
There
ago.
you go. My pen's running out, I'm only joking. But yeah. It's funny when you're in a position like me, like many other people, like we're in our own bubble. We're in our own hologram, right? And all these other stuff's going on that we're really unaware of until you have moments like this where you go, oh, thank you. That's so lovely. It took me 12 years to write that book. 12 years. Can you imagine just getting the quotes? The quotes were enormous. It cost me so much money. I couldn't use my right arm for several days.
Oh, the quotes, you had to pay for the quotes in there.
No. It was the amount of time I put into it.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Months. Oh, no. What? I was doing dial-up when I first started it in the house here in Katoomba. My bill for that 1 month period was $600.
Yeah, you have to mention about the cards because that's what sold me on the book.
Yeah. I don't even have any.
So everyone,
me cut into the chase, just using it as an oracle. Just mention
it is an oracle
because this is amazing.
Yeah.
When I show it to my students and to my clients, they always want to have one. And I say, well, you could find it, I think on Amazon, but go to Lynda's website directly.
Yeah, the website really, it's not sold through Amazon anymore. But you know what I really like? And I'm not going to tell the story because we're going, but I've got a long story to do with the Matrix. It's a long, weird, amazing story that's got to do with Hollywood and things that never came to pass. But anyway, red and blue, I came up with the red and blue cards before the Matrix came out. You pick the red pill or the blue pill. With my book, I picked the red and blue. I did it years before the Matrix was made. Not that I need an award for that, but it's just really funny.
Zodiac signs for those who don't know, and the blue are numbers. So
thank you.
Combination 360 combinations here.
Yeah,
it's
a fascinating world, these symbols. So everyone go out and do more research and look into your symbols and follow the advice of all these wonderful people and their talents. Deb, your art, get your art, get the chart, get the book, get the webinar, get the CIA, put it all together, and you'll be on your way to being a confident cosmic person. So with that, thank you for joining us, and Lynda, we'll have you back on. Nadia, we'll see you next in a few days, and Deb, I'll see you soon. Okay.
So lovely. Thank you, Julia. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Good luck, and we'll see you soon. Stay tuned for next time. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed that.
Bye.